I don't call myself an emo artist, but if someone else wants to call me that, go for it, man. If you're listening to the music, hell yeah. It's like, it's what's that whole adage? Like, I don't care what you call me as long as you're calling me.
Jonah Matranga joins Ghost Cult Magazine. One
Hey,
line drawing, the name is back. But Jonah, welcome. Thank you for chatting with us and just super excited to talk to you. You have a brand new album. You have a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. Welcome.
thanks, man. Thanks. I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, I love talking with a fellow East Coaster, and I'm ready to do this. Let's do this.
Right on. So Tenderwild, I want to say that correctly, is the new album, a fun word play. It's a very deep and awesome album, but what I really wanted to start with is that you've brought back this name, One Line Drawing. I think sometimes people's careers and projects live in the imagination as much as they live on wax or on digital or whatever the shit is now, whatever the medium is. And so I love that this name is sort of resurfaced for you. And you've been doing this for a while, but why now for a new album under this moniker?
First of all, that was really beautifully said.
Thank you.
One Line Drawing started out for me as I made my first one line drawing cassette in 98 when I was still in FAR. FAR was kind of ending, and I was coming up with these tunes that they didn't like, basically, and I wanted to have a little outlet for them. So it was a very, very personal thing. And I grew up in love with home recording. And so it was this kind of a little shelter away from recording studios and everything else, just to make some tunes. And then when FAR broke up, I literally released the demos I was working on as Jonah's One Line Drawing, because I didn't really know what else to do, and I had to go on making a living. I had a young daughter, I try and figure it out. So it started really coming from a place of a real personal place and a place of need, and then cut to a few years later, and everyone has quit their rock and roll bands and has started their solo pseudonym project, and the emo scene was taking off, and I was beginning to feel expectations to be or act a certain way as this artist. And I'm a little rebellious Boston fuck. And I was like, no, I will not do these things. And so I kind of bailed on it, joined another band called Gratitude, and kind of blew up my world. And then cut to all these years later, I think over COVID, I think a lot of us did a lot of thinking and introspection over COVID. I just realized that I like being me. I'm this animal in the world. I'm fine with being a creature. I don't really give a fuck about being a human being. I don't really give a fuck about being an artist. I don't really give a fuck, especially about being a commodity. I kind of wanted to just take my name away from all of that stuff. And I realized that One Line Drawing is just, and always has been, the name for whatever it is that I do, because it's super heavy sometimes, it's super soft sometimes, it's real silly, it's real sweet, it's all over the place. And that's the whole point. A one line drawing is when you start drawing and don't pick up the pencil until you're done. And so it was a real return to, this is, no matter what the noise is, I kind of wish all of the shit that I'd made since 98 when FAR broke up was one line drawing. It probably should have been. And it's okay that it wasn't. I'm grateful for New End. I'm grateful for Gratitude. I'm grateful for all the million bands. But for me, I'm just an animal that loves making noise. And I don't care what kind of noise it is. But one line drawing is just, that is the name for all of it. And I'm determined not to blow it again and ditch it again. So it's coming back like, nah, this is who I've always been.
Nice. It's a return to home in a way. I like it. And
yeah, very well said. Yeah.
I am very fond of rebellious Boston fucks, having lived in New England for 11 years at one point, even though I'm a New Yorker by trade. And by
again,
birth,
all the same thing. We hate each other, but it's a wonderful provincial brotherly hatred.
We only hate the sports things. We like everything else. I mean, there was maybe in the early hardcore days there was like a lot of violence, but that wore off.
No. It's all brothers. Sox Yankees. It's all Sox Yanks. It's really it's nothing else. Yeah.
We'll save that for another chat. But first place Yankees, by the way. Anyhow, first place.
Oh my God, this fucking year. Oh God. But
look, the worst.
Only championships in the 21st century, Boston.
That's it. Yes, of course. That's okay. At least they got. Hey, listen, I lived there at that time. It was a magical time. Even if Fenway is lovely, and it was a magical time, and I'm happy for all my friends who still hate my team and love me. So it's okay.
I love you.
Thank you.
All right, wait, hold on. I know we need to get to music. Hold on. Are you still the Yankees guy?
Yeah, I am. Can't not be.
Good. No, that's what I'm talking about. You
Yeah.
pick your hometown team
Yeah,
and
you
you
never
keep it.
leave.
So
Yeah.
all respect.
Yeah,
Okay,
of
onward
course.
to the rock. Onward to the rock.
You wouldn't have moved out to here and become like a Giants fan.
Dude,
That's crazy.
ew, right? Ew.
Nothing against them. So Tenderwild, man, super deep record.
Thanks, man.
And I
Thanks.
mean that like there are not a lot of lengthy records that are like really rewarding on repeat listens. So
Thanks,
I
man.
will just shout out some of my favorite tracks beside the title
Please,
track. I love
please.
Don't Give Up, When I Did
Hell,
Drugs, Hell of a
hell
Year,
yeah.
which is probably my favorite track on the record because it kind of syncs up with my personal battles and angers. And of course You're a Home to close it out. Do you have a favorite track on the record?
Man, um, of the ones you just spoke of, honestly, the one that popped out to me and that I can really most deeply remember writing and singing for the first time was Hell of a Year. Um, it, you know, as it sounds like, was written in the bowels of fucking 2020. It was a tough time. I was an absolute wreck when I wrote that tune, and I don't even think about it very much because it was such a weird personal thing. But when you said it, that one means a lot to me. But this record it's a whatever. Not that any records aren't personal. I know that sounds strange, but this record, yeah, man, it's a heavy personal record for me. It was both a return to self. It was a navigation of a time that I certainly had never experienced, where, like everyone else in the world, my life was upended, and all I had was music. All I had was music and the friends I wanted to make it with. Like that was it. There was no going out. There was no shows. There was no shit. There was no money. It was just tunes. And so, honestly, front to back, I'll put this record up against any record I've ever been a part of in terms of song to song to song to song. I think it's really fucking solid. So I appreciate you shouting those songs out.
Yeah, me too. And I'm glad you helped me with my segue. You do have some very talented collaborators on this record, and
Hell
obviously you
yeah.
could choose to work with anyone, but just if you want to share how some of those came about and how you picked the material for those individual people, or did you write with them in mind?
Yeah, not with anyone in mind, all pure serendipity. I think Chris Dashboard is the one that really comes to mind because he had been, I think it was a motorcycle. He'd been some sort of accident, and he
Mm.
was real hurt. I heard him on "Don't Give Up." I just heard it, the sentiment of the song. I thought, I think I just sent it to him, just like, "Hey man, I hope you're okay. Here's this, and by the way, I can hear your voice on this chorus." As far as I can tell, like, it was a literally a physically painful thing for him to get to a microphone and do that feature. So it makes me appreciate it extra because I know what he went through physically to do it, and it fits so perfectly with the tune. And I really think you can hear the ache in his voice. So I love that one. But that said, Zach uh, just killed the drums on "You're a Home." I mean, he just really just like laid down the smooth, solid, just what Zach does, that what he's done for Jimmy Eat World forever and grounding that band. It's just real stable and comforting, which is all I wanted that tune to be. So I was so happy he did that one. Jake Snyder from Minus the Bear, I've always loved them sonically so much, and his guitar playing is so fucking sick. And so I just sent him that track. I had no idea what he was going to do on it. I just said, just do your thing. And he sent back, to me, what was the perfect slinky, spooky, dirty ass like thing to fit that song. So Liam Frost, who sang on "Hell of a Year," don't even know him, never even met him. Just, I don't even know how that would happen actually. But I think I was curious about singing with someone from another country. He's British. So I was curious about having a more sort of shouting across the ocean to another human being, like, "Are you still okay? Are you still alive?" So I think that was going on there. But yeah, man, it was just a lot of real friendship based. Oh, and then I can't go without shouting out Rod Castro, who does he does the shredding guitars on Tenderwild. He crushes This Is Water. He played the acoustics on "Don't Give Up" and made the song so clear and laser focused. He really leveled up. He's like he's literally playing with TLC right now in Las Vegas. He
Amazing.
played with he played with Beyonce at the Grammys. Like he played with I think he also played with her at the Super Bowl. Like
No
all
big
like
deal,
yeah,
little
like that's what I'm
gigs.
talking about. Like so he fucking slummed it to come onto my record. So anyway, just wanted to shout out Rod. But anyway, it was all just pure friendship and love of music and just getting through a really crazy time together.
Nice. And yeah, it's kind of amazing to not only play with your peers and friends, but also people who, I feel like bands like Dashboard were, peers to you, but also Jimmy came up at the same time as Far and when you launched this project. So, I like that you mentioned earlier in this chat that, like a loving reference to emo, because I talk to so many artists and singer-songwriters and they shun emo for some reason, like it's a
Oh yeah,
dirty
yeah, yeah.
word. But at the same time, you can't, like, even if you like the most metal guy possible, you can't deny the influence of emo across all music genres, just as a huge thing, like a lighthouse, right? And so I'm really glad that it's not a dirty word for you.
Yeah, man. I mean, just like all the old bands, I know there's lots of artists that don't play anything by their old bands and kind of like to talk about them. Here's my new shit, blah, 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 blah. Like, look, I'm happy we're talking about my new record and I love it. And I am, I always want my new shit to be the most exciting shit to me. But honestly, anyone out there who gives a shit about any of my bands and doesn't like something else I do, all love. As long anyone who gives a shit about anything I do, I just am grateful for it. And so when it comes to emo, I'll never forget being in, I think it was Kerrang in 97 or something. Uh, there's a little tiny picture of me with a review of us, I think opening for like Human Waste Project or someone. And they call me the emo king. And this is in 97. And literally all my friends were like, yeah, what the fuck is emo? And so I was the king of something that no one knew what it was. And now here we are. And like Ellen DeGeneres says emo, like everyone says emo now. It's like a whole thing. And so sure, like grunge, like any other stupid genre term, of course it's idiotic. But for me, it is the world I came up in. It is short for the term emotional, which is I think the only thing that gives music anything worthwhile. And to your point, which actually I really love, you're proud, like you're like the way you're loud and proud about it. Like whether I like it or not, this thing that I was a part of building has touched everything from hip hop to metal to everything now. It's like I respect that. And so I'm actually going to actually walk a little even taller. Like I do it because personally I don't want to be that person who's kind of like disavowing this thing that they did, because it's still what I do. Like I don't call myself an emo artist, but if someone else wants to call me that, go for it, man. If you're listening to the music, hell yeah. It's like it's what's that whole adage? Like I don't care what you call me as long as you're calling me. So yeah, anyway, cool.
No, nice work. Yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, I love hearing Human Waste Project. Not on my bucket list for this part of this interview, but terrific mention of Kerrang and
Oh,
the late
sick. I'd love to even
'90s
know.
sort of new metal, proto emo, proto
Yep.
punk, proto, before metalcore really was a thing.
Oh yeah,
Amazing.
bands like that and Sensefield and stuff, those were kind of my company. Early Sunny Day, I remember being really
Mm.
enamored by. I remember seeing Sunny Day for the first time. Far was on tour up in the Northwest, and seeing Sunny Day and being like, okay, like they're going where we're going. And it was no one really fit anywhere. But again, cut to all these million years later, and there's bands shit from Billie Eilish to Machine Gun Kelly. It's essentially the two prongs of of emo, from like the bedroom lo-fi thing and like the poppy metally whatever thing, kind of, and what again, I don't care either way about those artists. I'm not like slagging them off. I'm not saying they're great or whatever. I'm just saying it's a trippy thing to have grown up and all these years later have this shit that I was kind of around at the dawn of being like this massive shit. It's weird. I like it though. I'm here for it. I love it.
I'm glad. I'm glad. And listen, there's always an artist's journey. You can't always, some artists need the
Yeah.
discomfort, need to distance themselves for whatever reason. I'm glad that you're fond of that time. I love Far. I was a big Far fan, still am, and I love, actually, one of the first things you did with One Line Drawing was the rival schools split, which I love.
Oh man.
Gorilla Biscuits is my favorite hardcore band. I love Quicksand. No one will hear me shut up about it. So,
I
yeah.
still have Walter's answering machine message from when he called me up to tell me he loved Sketchy One, the first one line drawing thing. Like I was so geeked out that fucking Wally called me. So to do that rival school split was a moment in my life. So I really appreciate you shouting that one out.
Yeah, so killer. And Walter means a lot to me. Everybody knows that. Just as we wind this down, I want to give you back
Yeah.
your day and I appreciate your time.
Appreciate
Hopefully,
you.
Tenderwild is dropping on Iodine Recordings in late June. Hopefully,
Yep.
there's going to be some activity around the Bay Area. Hopefully, a tour. I'm going to see Dan Andriano this week as we record this now, and I just saw Hot Water Music and Chuck. So or Chuck Solo. So there's an audience for. There's still like a thriving, passionate audience for what you do. I hope you can, revive this touring thing and get out there and bring this music out live.
Yeah, man. Shit. I mean, I'm actually just getting over COVID, which I'm pretty sure I got on my only official club show of my last tour. So for any disbelievers out there, it turns out COVID is still real. After all the shots and all the months of masking, I still got fucked. But here we go. So yeah, whatever the world does, I will be making songs. I will be singing them as loudly and emotionally as I can. And I sincerely hope that you and I are meeting in person soon and that we're singing and smiling and rocking out together. So yeah, here's to that, man.
Yeah, cheers. Let's do it. Let's do it over coffee or a beer next time in person. I would love to.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good one. You're the best.